Yeah, let's do it. On today's podcast, man, I got a special guest, Khalil. Awogboro. How you say your name? Tough
Awogboro.
last name. Huh? Awogboro. Right? And I got his mother, Mrs. Alicia, here today. Can you hear me, Khalil?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. All right, good. Just making sure. So we want to talk a little bit about your basketball career and how you got into basketball and, how your senior year went, your junior year went, and how everything is going for you so far. So far, how's your summer going?
Going great. Going great.
And yours, Alicia?
It's good. Summer break.
Summer is great. So you're having a good time. So now, man, you're one of the young guys that trained with me for about a year, and your mother sent me the best letter in the world. And I mean, she said so much about, thanking me for being there for you and all of the things that, it takes to support young men like yourself when it comes in the future. So let me ask you this. How did you get into basketball and how did you develop this love for basketball?
I really don't even I can't really put in words how I got into it, but I know when I was younger, like maybe 2 or 3 years old, I picked up a basketball. I was on like one of those little goals for kids. I was dunking the ball and stuff like that. I used to watch LeBron when I was younger too, so I think that's maybe get into it.
And that's where your love for the game started.
Yeah.
Now, so was your mother influencing some of that basketball? When did you first realize he could play basketball?
Miss Alicia? 7 or 8.
Around 7 or 8 years old? Because I know you got some baby pictures of him playing. So we just, it's a great thing to know that, when he's inspired. So let me ask you this. Didn't you play some college basketball or something of that nature?
Yeah, I actually played at Delgado.
You did play at Delgado. As you can see, I'm representing Delgado right here on my shirt. Khalil got a scholarship offer to go to Delgado. So he will be, taking his talents to Delgado this year. So let me ask you this one more question. So now, let's talk about your experience in high school and playing for Shaw, Archbishop Shaw. How was that like? And what year did you come in 8th grade, 9th grade? Or how did that go? How did you end up at Shaw?
I left my freshman year from Helen Cox, and I went to Shaw my 10th grade year. And yeah, it was at first it was a pretty good feeling being at a Catholic school. Well, being at a private school in general. The education is better. So got to be able to have that. As far as basketball, to my 10th grade, like the beginning of it, yeah, it was cool. I was having fun, but towards the middle of the season, being a player that's not really used to not seeing a court at all, it kind of hit me a little bit. So I really didn't know what to do. I didn't really know how to adjust to it. So it kind of took a little toll on me my 10th grade year.
When you say took a toll on you, what do you mean by that? Like, I don't want to assume, I don't want to speculate what that means. When you say took a toll on you, what do you mean by that?
Like my confidence was all around the place. I didn't really tell nobody a lot of times. I didn't really tell anybody, but a few times kind of cried about it. Asking myself.
See, that's that love for the game and that passion for it. That's why you would cry about it. You got to care about it. That's why I say, where did your love come from? So continue.
Asking myself, did I do anything wrong? Did I not train hard enough? Just not being used to the position of not playing at all. So,
I mean, it's so funny that you say that, right? I think it's very powerful. I think this is pretty much going to be a big part of this conversation we're going to have, man, the effects of a young player when he don't play, he don't have support, and how that can really, take a kid for a loop. So you said you experienced that your sophomore year? So as soon as you got at Shaw, it was a little bit of a pushback for you because I guess they didn't recruit you to come in or they didn't try to get you to come in. So you just came straight in from Helen Cox. So Miss Alicia, how do you feel about that situation when you made that decision for him to go to Cox? What led to that decision?
To go to Cox?
Yeah, no, from Cox to Shaw.
Oh, he wasn't taking care of his business with his grades. It was too free. It wasn't
You felt you need more structure.
academic side. I felt he wasn't taking care of business. So we chose to send him to a school we felt would help him with that. And they did amazing with his academics.
All right, so let me ask you this, Khalil. So do you feel from the moment you went to Shaw, you never had support? So now that let me understand that when you led into that junior year, it was a little bit of some of the same thing, right?
Right.
You would say? And we met because I saw you as a really good player, and I was surprised that you wasn't getting playing time. I thought you was actually a sophomore when I met you, I believe, right? You was a sophomore. And I was like, man, this kid right here can really play. And I thought you was just basically helping the JV team. But then when I talked to one of the coaches, he was like, oh, he's all right. And I was like, what do you mean he's all right? This kid can play. So that's when I knew right then and there, I was kind of like questioning like what's going on there that he didn't play, that you wasn't playing a lot. And then that's why I said from that moment, I was like, wow. And I didn't really know you, but I knew that the relationship that you had with your mother, you would turn to her in the stands and say, yo, they don't want me to shoot or blah, blah, blah. I try to tell the guy. And I just didn't understand because you seemed so comfortable on the floor. You seemed like you was in your element. So that's why I was surprised when I talked to one of the coaches. I was like, wow, what's going on with this kid right here? He's a really good player. And he was like, oh, he's all right. And then he started talking about a whole nother player. And I was like, nah, you're the next up-and-coming player is this kid right here. Trust me, because he seems very comfortable on the floor. He got, he not a direct. He knows what he's doing. So now, at least when you played at Delgado, what position did you play?
3 and a 4.
3 and a 4. Okay, so how did you seem like when you at those games, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes a lot of coaches, because you're not the typical parent. You actually played the game, right? So some parents is kind of like, giving their opinion, but you understand what the X and O's look like. So, so playing the 3 or 4. So how was you able to help your son still see the game? I'm pretty sure that is a simple way of explaining it, but how did you help him along the way?
Stay my coaches. I wasn't a talented player. I just had heart. I had hustle, and they took that and turned my confidence around, because I was just known as a bruiser in some sense. Like you wasn't coming in, you were getting fouled. So I kind of taught him how to have a heart for the game and to study the game, and not just go out there and run around and play. Like he had to see what he was doing. And I think in some sense it hindered him there because they didn't really have a lot to teach him. He came in with a lot of knowledge of the game, and I think that hindered him some.
Like in so many words, he had to take with his knowledge and then try to, like, it was almost like putting a circle in a square in order to fit in. And then when he didn't get the playing time, knowing the game, because I had a kid that happened to that went to a school, I'm not going to name the school, but he came to me and he said, Coach, I can't play for this coach for the simple fact, I don't think he knows enough about the game. So he wound up transferring and actually winning 2 state championships. So anybody that really trained with me, a lot of times, we don't just teach you how to go around cones. We teach you how to think the game and make great decisions, So let's talk about that junior year. How did that junior year start for you? And get into it a little bit, because I think that was the turning point for you to understand many different things. Let's get into your junior year. After that sophomore year, you came back, and how was the junior year?
I actually want to start in the summer. The summer before my junior year. I thought it was going to be my turnaround year, my breakout year, my year that I show everyone that I'm one of the best players in the state of Louisiana. From training almost every day, just getting to the feel of loving the game. And when I came back my junior year, I had a very high expectations for myself to be on the floor a lot. But obviously I didn't get that chance to really show everybody what I can do. So ultimately I had to take a step away from the game of basketball because of my confidence wasn't there. It's kind of like a mental roller coaster, and that's something no basketball player should go through.
Yeah, and I mean, at least you could get into it as well because we all was a part of that support system when he had
Right.
made that decision. Because even so, now you know, just like I know, your confidence was in the right place because that whole summer you went out to Phenom camp, you killed out there. You went out to every camp that you went to, you shined at. You was one of the top players, hands down. So that's why I was disappointed when I came and he was like, "Oh, he's not getting playing time." I'm like, "How can that be when this kid is unstoppable everywhere he goes?" So, Elise, how did you feel about that situation? Because we all had to come together and support him, and that's why I say this conversation is really important to show you how important it is to have the right community backing you. So, how did you feel about that junior year when you realized that he was not going to be on the floor that much?
It was disappointing, but when you think about it in a more spiritual sense, I think it helped him to understand and get a bigger picture of God and knowing everything is going to go the way God wants it to go. And I think had this situation not happened, I don't think he would be the player that he is. He had a community of people, men especially, who played the game, who were great in it. Coach Bo stepped in, helped him, thought it was crazy watching him play and watching other players on the team. Nothing against those kids. Those kids did what they were supposed to do. Coach Mop, yourself, who was a big part of the helping us with what's best. This guy, Coach Kimbrough, who's like a brother to me. Many other people call with their advice. Let me know if there's anything I could help you with. And I think that pushed him along. We were able to play in some men leagues where men were like, how is this kid not playing high school basketball? So that helped us to know that was the best decision because the confidence he gained after that, he felt like he could do anything. And that's how he had a breakout senior year.
Let me tell you something. And at that time, I actually called the coach to find out what was the situation. And the coach had a mindset as if, well, why are you worrying about Khalil? What she said this to me, why are you worrying about Khalil? He got all the next year. And I was really disappointed by that statement because I'm like, he got all the next year. And the season is just starting. And he was like, his problem is defense. And I'm like, nah. It got to be deeper than that. Then he was like, oh, why are you worrying about him so much? He got all next year. And I said to the coach in a very clear manner, I said, listen, that kid is too talented, and we're not going to allow nobody to mess with his confidence and being on anybody's bench when we know that he can play with your school. And they had a mindset like, well, it ain't going to change. I said, well, we're going to protect him. And they had a mindset like, well, do what you got to do because we're not going to change our mindset. So we had to come as a community to support this young man. And we was not going to let his confidence slip. We're going to not let him doubt himself. And I think coaches got to be a little more mindful that, or be aware of being cognizant of the fact that you treating a kid a certain way has an effect on him, and he's a human being. And it takes a lot for a young man to pull himself out of a hole like that. But we all had his back and supported him. So let me ask you this, Khalil. How was you able to keep your confidence, even though that junior year you went to the coach, you tried to get a few things. We know that the coach kind of was like, because I think he had a bunch of decent players at that time, but I think his mindset was more so like, we'll be fine without you. And I believe there was a moment, right? Am I right, Alicia, that he went back and tried to be on the team and the coach was like, nah, right? Let's get into that a little bit where I thought that was cruel. When you had a young man that came back to you and said that he want to play, and he was like, nah. So let's get into that a little bit. I thought that was a little hard. Little, it could have been a little more, show Khalil a little more grace, in my opinion.
But yeah, I had a conversation with the coach about taking a break from a little bit. But I did go back and ask him, is it okay if I could join the team back? And not even a second after I finished my sentence, he just dismissed it and was like, no, you already made your decision. And I'll see you next year, something along those lines.
And I would like to add, we had several parents on the team who went to the coach. This was so told to me, I wasn't there. They practically, in some sense, begging the coach to let him back on. Like parents of kids who were on the team, and that if Khalil came back, Khalil would probably take some of their kids' time, and he still refused to let him back on the team. And we're talking about in a matter of 4 to 6 days of him just taking time to, just be, and he would refuse to let him back on the team.
So from that moment, Khalil, you trained with me, and I told you, Alicia, we will not charge you one dime.
Right.
We will make sure Khalil get what he deserved, and we will have his back. And I think in a lot of situations, could you think of a young man? Could you think about them young men that don't have the support? That's what the first thing is I said to you. We're going to support him all the way through, and he'll be fine. And that's why when you do the Gulf South Unlimited, our program is to help kids that's exactly in this situation, or kids that gave it their all, and the coaches are not really stepping up and being there for them. So this is one of those type of times where the community has to come in and help young men like this, because a lot of these young men get caught up in doing a whole bunch of other things when they can't be on that basketball court. Like I tell people a lot of times, we're more safe in the gym than anywhere else on the planet. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes when you ain't on that court, sometimes life is different. So you went from that to running track, right? And playing in some adult leagues. How was that? Let's talk about that for a second. Did that help you believe more in yourself? Where was your confidence when all that happened? Where was you at, and how did you pull yourself out of that?
Being in the men's league, just playing against grown men, it helped me to realize that if I can do certain things on men that are older than me, then I should be able to do this on high school kids that are my age. And it kind of gave me the confidence that it doesn't matter how many shots you miss, or if you get a turnover, or if you get scored on defense, but just to have that confidence to do the same thing no matter what happens, and to go to the next play. And I think being in the men's league was a big part of boosting my confidence, especially because I'm still around the game of basketball even when I'm not playing.
And a lot of those men in that league were very a part of the community. They all of them would, if they ripped him, they tell him, hey, do this. Like, it was a community of men still who don't know him. We don't know their names, who took a hand in making sure he kept his confidence too.
So let me ask you this. Do you believe, it's a tough question, you got more out of that men's league than you probably would have got out of being on the bench? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree.
And why you believe that?
Even though you can be on a high school team, if you're not playing, getting reps in the game, it's not really helping you or helping your confidence, because you don't, even if you're on the bench and being a great teammate, if you you're not really playing. So you can't really, how can I say this?
Grow.
Yeah, you can't really grow as a player because you're not going up against people, knowing what to do in certain situations. So that's basically how I felt. I wasn't getting better as a player being on the bench.
So let me ask you this, Miss Alicia. How did you feel when you saw the community step in? What did that do for you?
I felt like I wish I had a camera, because these type of things are not broadcast. It's shown in New Orleans, all the wrong that's going on. And I would like to say too, that I find a lot of times coaches tell kids they're selfish or they're not a team player when they don't buy into their agenda. So he was deemed as selfish in taking a step back to protect his confidence, because he wouldn't sit on the bench and watch players who were not necessarily better than him, or they could have had time. I'm not saying he should or shouldn't have played over players, but he deserved time based on the skill and whatever his agenda was. It just wasn't conducive to Khalil's growth. But I would, if any parents are out there, don't feel like you're selfish when you protect your child, because you are not buying into someone else's agenda on who or what your child is or isn't.
And at least let's be honest. And it's not like he did anything wrong. And he can play. So, Khalil, what would be a message to a young man that's in your same situation that junior year? Because we got to get into that senior year. We got to go on. So what would you advise to a young man that's in that situation where he's, contemplating, should I do something to build my game? And, what would you advise a young guy in that situation? Or if you could do something different, what you had?
What advice for any young players that were in that?
Like if you could, because there's gonna be young guys that's gonna see this, right? And they're gonna say, "Oh, this is a guy Khalil." Like, what would be your advice to a young guy that's in that same situation? Because a lot of us, to me, time matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm a person that if I'm not growing in any situation, I don't want to lose time there.
Right.
And I think we talked about that. And I don't think it's quitting. I think it's making a better decision to do with my time because I can't get it back, right? Because most seasons about what? Almost 6 months. You start about what? Anywhere from, it's about 6 months. You're talking about that's half of a year doing nothing. I just think there's too many things you can be doing, within that time, especially getting better because the goal is to play college, you see, Delgado. So what am I saying? You still achieved your goal and you missed the whole junior year, right? So my thing is, what would be your advice to young men that's probably in your same situation?
My advice would be to remember who you are. Don't lose yourself. Remember how you got into this position, like how far you've come, and don't give up just because of one thing that happens. I was fortunate enough to have, a community behind me, but some people may not have that. So I would say I can't really say because
Because it's a tough situation.
Yeah.
It's probably a situation you really don't wish nobody get in. Let's be honest, right? You really wish no players to get in that situation. So let me ask you this, because we asked your mother, how did you feel knowing that the community had your back? No, you, Khalil. How did you feel? Because your mother just explained how she felt. How did you feel when you realized you had a bunch of people telling you you're not wrong?
It felt great just to know that me and my mother wasn't the only two people that knew I was a great player and that I should be playing. Just seeing all of the men that, kind of helped me with my confidence and helped me to stay positive and keep my head up and to keep working. But back on the advice, I would just say stay motivated and just don't lose yourself in it, because you can lose yourself pretty fast if you let things get to you.
And believing in yourself. That's why we have a Go Me. Go Me is so important because you gotta be your number one fan when nobody else is. Right? You got to keep yourself going. You see, you had a Go Me moment where you say to yourself, man, look, I'm going to keep believing in me when nobody else. I know my mom's, I got other people, but it's going to come down to how much I believe in myself. And I think it was a great moment. So let's get into that senior year. Your first time back, I came to your summer league game. You had about 35. You had a breakout game. You just went off. Man, how was that feeling, just to bring yourself back and to prove what you already knew was real about your game and your personality? How did it feel to come back that first game, man, and just had a breakout game?
It was good seeing that the hard work I put in through the adversity I went through, all the hard work kind of paid off through that first game. I think I went for like 6 for 8, 7 for 8 from the 3-point line. And we didn't even have all of our players. So it was just, that I had a great game and we still won, even not having all our players. It's just kind of like a confidence booster for me, knowing that I can do a lot for my team.
Let me tell you something. So now this season, y'all had the number one team in Louisiana. The number one team, Y'all had a great team. What do you think was some things that you wish the team and the coaches would have done differently? We could talk about your senior year, but let's say if you could do it all and you had the opportunity to talk to these coaches and you say to them, man, if you would have been a little more of this, a little more of that, or in the near future, what would you want them to know that probably can help them as coaches understand how important it is to support young men like yourself? Did you get that question in a little bit? Is that kind of clear?
Yeah.
If you had a chance to talk to him and you was the sophomore Khalil and you had the chance to say, how important it is to, give young guys a fair shot or whatever you want to say, how would you process that?
Well, my sophomore year, well, just as a person, I wasn't really a person to talk a lot, like to people that I really didn't, have a good relationship with. So I didn't really, I guess me and my coach didn't really have a relationship where we talked a lot. So I guess there was kind of like assumptions going on. So maybe in his mind, there were certain things that he felt that I felt and there's maybe certain things that I felt that he felt about each other. And I wish we could have talked a little bit more. And so maybe there were certain things that happened and I could go to him and tell him that, hey, this is what I see can be done better on your part. And he could tell me maybe, hey, you could do this better. That way you could get on the court. But yeah, just being able to treat kids fairly and give them fair opportunities and equal shots, no matter the skill level, the talent, or anything. Just who can work the hardest and who wants it more.
Right. Give those guys a shot. So now, this senior year, you did some excellent things, man. Let's talk about the accolades, man, and some of the things that you achieved this year. In 1 year, you did some phenomenal things, man. Let's shoot it out. Let us hear it. And your mom sent me a whole list of the things you did in 1 year, man. I'm like, so I knew I wasn't crazy. You feel me? Like, guys score almost close to 500 points, 400 something points in one season. So imagine if you would have got playing time your sophomore, junior, and this year, you would have probably got close to that 2,000 something, whatever, 1,100, something that nature. So let's talk about some of the things you achieved in this 1 year. Let's talk about it, man. Because just so people can know, we ain't support a guy that was just like, we supported a guy that could really play this game. Let's talk about
it. So yeah, when you said it, I had 402 points, I think.
Yeah.
I got all district. I got offensive player of the year for the team. I think I had what it was outstanding player for the West Bank quarterback club. Yeah, state runner up that too.
And you was the outstanding player of the game for the semifinals.
Oh yeah, outstanding player of the game for the semifinals, state semifinals.
Yep. Wow. So, let me ask you this. Now, here's the $1,000,000 tough question. What happened in the state championship, you believe? And you can speak from a team standpoint, coaching standpoint, and things you think things could have been better. If you had the chance to do this over, what you think happened in the state championship, you believe?
Even in the game, before the game, there was a lot of talk about, us might be playing hand in the state championship game. And I feel like some of the guys didn't really take that too seriously as we already beat Hannon 3 times. We beat them in the summer and we beat them twice in the regular season. So playing them again a third time, to some of them, it didn't really feel like it wasn't as important to them. But it's hard to beat a team twice, let alone 3 times in the same season.
Because they know all their mistakes. You don't know the adjustments you have to make. They knew all the adjustments they had to make.
Also, we didn't really watch film on them like that. We kind of just
wow.
I guess
y'all didn't watch film. Y'all just went and played them.
we kind of watched film, but it was like, oh, if we just get up and guard and stay in the passing lanes, then we should win because we know what they've done previous games. So I guess that was a big reason why we didn't come out how we should have, because teams make adjustments and we weren't ready for the adjustment because we didn't really watch film like that.
Well, that's more than surprising. To get to the state championship and don't watch film on your opponent, at least even against somebody else. I'm saying, like, I mean, because they had to beat somebody to get to play y'all in the championship. How did they win that game? Why wouldn't that game be important? That would be just as important as knowing what they might be running. You feel me? So that's disappointing to hear, in my opinion. I mean, like you said, I could be wrong. But if you ain't watched film and you just go play a team in the championship, you just automatically believe you could beat them. I don't get that philosophy. Very shocking to know. But anyway, so now let's get to the future. Because you did some great things, man. I love the fact that you redeemed yourself and you was able to do some special things for your career. So now you're on your way to Delgado. How did you feel when you got that opportunity to actually get the offer? How did that happen when you got the offer from Delgado? Because I had a few schools I wanted to get you to go to. Alicia, it's time for them, let's take this opportunity and keep them home, let them build, because I think this is a good program for you to build in, for the simple fact that you're going to be close, you got a lot of support, and they're just going to keep learning and get better. So let's talk about when they first came to you and you got that offer. How did y'all hear about
it? I remember one Sunday, we went to train with Coach Rory, which is kind of like the recruiter for Delgado. But I didn't notice at the time. But yeah, I had a pretty good workout with him. And I think it was that Monday or Tuesday, I got a text in class from him saying that he wanted to offer me a scholarship. And I was more than excited to hear that. Because being in my, well, I don't think the season started, but being away from the game of basketball in high school and still being able to get a scholarship offer is
it's tough, because you got to think you got everything achieved in one year, right?
Right.
One of the top scorers, but that's where what Alicia said, like that coming to God moment, going through something and being close to God and putting God over everything. That's why I tell people, I put God over everything. For the simple fact, like you say, he got a plan, I got a plan. His plan is go first, and I think playing against those adults and being away from and keeping your confidence where it need to be, everything worked out exactly the way it should have. For me, I believe, because why? You are a better player today. You're able to play with bigger, stronger. You just played in the what's that league you just played in with more adults? What's the name of that league again? What's the name of it?
Ricky League.
Yeah, the Ricky League. So that was a good opportunity. So now you'll start being a veteran of that league. You keep going back and forth playing against guys, and then you're gonna see a young Khalil like yourself, and you could keep him motivated. So I think sometimes to be in that situation is very important. So now, what's your goal? Sure, definitely.
I have to give the Ricky League some props, because they took all those young fellas and the men who were playing, helped them out after games were over. They there was a game where Khalil and them were beating a team, but these grown men, 27. And so what they did was they got in their head and made them feel like, oh, you got to go one-on-one. If you ain't going on one-on-one, you trash. And they told them after the game, that was their game plan. They know they couldn't beat them, but they got in their head. So that was a lesson they learned. You don't let nobody take you out of the game that you're playing, that you're winning. So I appreciate the Ricky League as well. There are some really, really great guys in that league.
Yes, man. And so now going into college now, since you got your goals and your dream achieved, what do you offer, man? What do you offer this Delgado University? Delgado Community College. What do you offer them? What do you think you bring to the table? I know, but let's say the world don't know. What do you know you bring to the table?
Also, a lot for a great teammate, a leader, always talking, communicating on the floor. hard worker. Always want to work hard, get better. A person that wants to win, no matter what. If I score 20 or 5, as long as we win, I'm fine. Um, yeah, just building chemistry and being unselfish. So yeah, I bring a lot to the Delgado Community College.
You know what's so funny? I remember at the beginning of the year, I had to pull you to the side, and you learned so much. One thing about working with you such a beautiful thing, because you get concepts and you pick up things. It was almost like you was playing the point, but then you was like almost like, I'm gonna get mine this year. And I'm like, no. You can score so easy. You got to get guys involved so when it comes to getting yours, it's even much easier. That's why I think for you, you had a great season and you played the game the right way. So now just think about that now. When you get to college, you already have the mindset to play the game the right way. So when you're around talented players, and you can be another coach on the floor because you see the game. So you're able to read and react in a way that's what's going to help you in the future. So let me ask you, what basketball players inspire you, or who was the role models and guys that you follow?
For a long time, my role model was probably LeBron.
One of the
Being
greats.
Yeah, being able to play the game at such an old age or having such a long career.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's great. But recently, watching Shea Alexander for the
There you
Thunder,
go.
he has a nice poised game, and he never seems rattled by anything. He always has the same mindset, cool, level head.
75 degrees.
Doesn't let anyone, speed him up. He has a great mid range
No,
too.
but that's part of the game I had to teach him. I'm like, no, bro, you got to be able to shoot over guys with your quickness, speed, and ball handling. For you to get a bucket is easy. And this kid played a perfect game. Look, just imagine if more NBA players made their shot selection like he make his shot selection. You know how many guys is taking threes and just giving the ball away because they're taking threes and these fast breaks. So the way he plays the game is the way we grew up playing the game. And you know how much you see how hard it is to guard him, right? Imagine you guarding everybody that play like that. You don't know if he's taking a long shot. He's head faking. You going by. He's shooting the mid range. He's getting all the way to the basket. That's to me cooking you. You feel me? I'm cooking you every way, but I'm just shooting threes and miss. It's like I'm not really giving it to you. I like the way he played because he right at your head. He coming through head fake, making you work, leaning off you. And every time you go to guard him, you don't know what they expect. So if you study him, you'll be preparing yourself to be able to get any points you want. That's why for him to drop, think about it. He probably only getting about 3 baskets a quarter plus free throws. You see how easy for him to get 30? And the way he played, he probably getting 4 baskets a quarter at this point. And remember how I broke down the math on how you can easily average 10, 20, or 30 points. So he probably getting 4 baskets a quarter. Probably at moments he getting 3 and another 5. You feel me? So he averaging 30 off of just that alone. You know? So let me ask you this. This is going to be the last and final question. So now, going into college right now, what's going to be your major?
Either chemical engineering at a university, or I might do like a program at Delgado to help me get to that, or I want to do business management.
Well,
to be
I
my
say go business management so that you can take and switch off to anything that you want to do.
Right.
So you could get into sports management, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Being an engineer in college and a basketball player is one of the hardest things in the world. I'm not trying to discourage you, but being an engineer, because when you're done being an engineer in college, you're an engineer. And like you got to go get a master's and all that. So that's why most players, you don't find too many guys taking engineering in college. But if that's your goal, get the 2-year degree and then take it on. You feel me? And find out what you want to do from that. Do you want to play more college basketball after Delgado? Is your goal to play D1, D2, or what's your goal once you're done with Delgado?
Supposed to play major D1.
Major D1. Okay. So how you going to get to that? You going to get into a D1 body in the next 2 years?
Yes, sir. I'm working on it right now.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, I'm satisfied here. This podcast went a little long, but I got a special people in front of me. And is anything y'all guys want me to know about myself or about what we've done over these last 2 years and some change, or really almost 3 years? Is anything y'all want me to know, or any questions y'all have for me?
I just want to say thank you so much for being in my space and to be able to help me become the player and develop to the player I've been, and to know who I am as a person and player, to not let nothing stop me or lower my confidence, and just teaching me how to know the game and not just play it, because you can have all the moves you want and work on it, but if you don't know the game and not
when, why, and how,
yeah, it's not helping. So yeah, I just want.
And it's an easier game when you know what you're doing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say, not to go back to the past, because I don't want to deal with that anymore, but you should have been the point guard to be able to direct everybody and get a lot of things. And that, I think your guys would have been very successful, because y'all had a great season, man. One of the best seasons in Shaw history with, in recent history. So I think y'all had a great year. So I'm just looking forward to seeing you keep developing and keep working, man, and stay hungry, man. Stay humble and stay hungry. And any question, anything you got, Lise?
I was gonna say, I respect any player who trains with you, because you don't come easy. Meaning,
I'm not an easy.
You're not a fantastic person, like you said.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be all super flamboyant. Yeah, right. I ain't gonna be. I'm just straight up. I'm just straight up about what it's about.
Right, and I remember when Khalil came, like, you were on it. Some people don't want the truth. So I'm trying to think of a comment you told me about a lie and the truth. I can't remember. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
I said a lie have many friends. The truth have a lot of enemies.
Right. And so that's what I feel. A lot of kids can't train with you, because if they don't want to be told, you got to be able to use your left hand or you won't go far. Or if they don't want to be told, you gotta we have so many comments from you, like you say, what you running from is what you gonna run to. And
there's nowhere
some
to go.
people run from your training and end up missing out on the things they need. So we appreciate you never lying to Khalil, and that helped him a lot.
And we had to show him exactly where his opportunities are. That's right. What a lot of guys don't understand. You got to know what your opportunities are, because coach is not going to come and say, this is your shot. This is your shot. This is your moment. No, you got to start to see what the defense gives you, and you got to take advantage of that, man. And I just think that him as a young player, he works well with me, because the truth is going to give you the knowledge that you need to grow, right? And I just don't think, because I look at it this way. There's another saying, because you like sayings. It's time versus talent. You feel me? And a lot of guys don't have enough time. You feel me? So you see, from the moment you train with me, I created that environment for you to understand. You're going to get it today. We don't know how much time you have, because the talent that has the advantage, you got to make up that difference. You understand what I'm saying? So if you're going to work from this point, just think about what you achieved in 1 year, because you took advantage of that whole time. You didn't waste any of it, and you're not wasting any of it now. So now when you step to the table and talent is there, you're ready, because you spent the time using your time for that talent. Now you're one of those talented players that use this time wisely. That's why I told guys, you start late, you finish late. And sometimes you might not finish at all. You feel me? So if you're running from hard work, all you're doing is losing time, because the hard work ain't going nowhere. So the same thing you're running from is the same thing you're running to, because it's waiting on you. Hard work ain't going nowhere. And ladies and gents and coaches, this is a bad man. As you can see, he has a great family. He's a great young man, and he's focused. He's focused, man. So I want to say, go you, go me, go us. I appreciate y'all, man. Thank y'all for the interview. Thank y'all for the opportunity. Love y'all. And y'all know, we won't have it no other way, man. Nothing but the love here. I appreciate y'all.
No problem.
Thank you.
Well, yep.
Thank you.